Finally, overloading the compareTo function. We've already talked about what this one does, and this one does an employee for this one, but what's it comparing to? In this particular example, it looks like all it's doing is comparing age. That's all it's doing for this particular example. Notice it says numeric operator, where you can use our double equals, we can use greater than, less than, all those different symbols because it's a numeric that we can use to compare. Okay? And it's literally compareTo is the name of the function. Now, when we're using it to compare and we're doing string operators, just like we've been doing for first name and last name, there we have to use the compareTo. But these two are not the same. It's very similar to what we had in the equals part. In this compareTo, it is comparing two strings. Get last name and then get the last name of this dot get last name. Remember what this stands for. Now we've gone over it again. That the first compareTo works with employee, and then once it gets through employee, then it starts breaking it down into the strings that we're looking for. Okay? So how does that work out? Let's take a look at the first one. We have Dean.compareTo Dean. Now, by the way, using the this part, which part of which Dean here is the this? It's going to be the first part. It's this.compareTo Dean. So let's go to the compareTo function right here. I'm comparing one employee to another one, so it's going to use this one. That's the original compareTo function. But then once we get inside, it's going to look at the both last names and use the string, not employee. We're using the string compareTo function to compare the strings of the last two names. Let's go to this one. Dean.compareTo professor. Which one's the this out of the two of them? It's going to be Dean again. So we're going to go into the compareTo to compare two employees and then use the compareTo string operator to look at the last names and go from there. Whew. A lot going on here in reality, but the nice part is if you can somewhat get past this, it's a copy and paste for a lot of things when you're comparing your own custom objects, like I want you to start thinking about here in a minute. So in this question that I have here, there's a problem with this compareTo function. Now it's not syntactically, by the way. It's more theoretical, I don't want to say theory, but it's more logic more than anything else like that. So in theory about sorting names, that's really kind of the hint that I'm giving here. Well, what's the problem with this function? And then what I want you to do is kind of look through the notes and stuff like that. What am I missing and recreate that function? So take a look at that real quick and get back to me on what's different, what's wrong with this? And we'll go from there. Again, it's nothing syntax. So what's the problem? The problem is that it really doesn't even check first name at all. Now, the order that it should check in is up to you. Usually it's last name first, just like a telephone book or how it's addressed in an address book or something like that. It's usually last name and then first name. And you saw an example like that before. I talked about Brian Williams and Chad Williams. So this really, in theory, this was not good because it really needed to check for both. This doesn't handle if both of them have the same last name. And you need something to do that. So this is the original problem that I had. Now the code that's showing up right now should be exactly showing you, hey, this is what the code really was. For some reason, if it doesn't, just look from the page before. But that's the overall answer, is that you need to make sure that you have a equals and a compareTo function that does exactly what you really want it to do when comparing objects of similar types.